Okay, I'm just trying to get all this stuff out because I thought it out, but I don't know if they're going to interfere. So I'm just hoping that I can get everything that I'm trying to say out. Anyhow, as you know, they interfered with Divine Disclosure Part 7. So I was not able to upload anything but like a little small video, a 30-minute video saying that there was going to be a hold on Divine Disclosure Part 7. And what it was a collection of videos of the day-to-day activity, the things that I was experiencing day-to-day. And it was a lot of good stuff in it, you know, like me crossing paths with people, you know, that I know that have known about this situation, that had the events wrong because they were new imposters that showed up. And some would even act like they won person even act like, you know, she was following the situation and had been sharing videos and she had not. Another was a close friend, you know, my godson's mom. She put up one day, I'm talking about, this is like the real reaction, or the closest thing that you can get to the real reaction. Like I've said before, the government sees the best of it, but this is, it's not a reenactment of anything. It's just raw and uncut, you know, my take on what's taking place and me explaining, you know, how their things and matters are being orchestrated according to what they're saying. You know, the bulk of my content is on demon possession and eugenics. You also know, see, now they're starting with the remote neural monitoring stuff. The bulk of my content is on demon possession. I talk about matters of the spirit, how the technology that the government has can separate people from themselves. And when that happens, the body is held by an extraterrestrial, or either spirit that no longer has a body, a misplaced spirit that no longer has a body to return to. You know, they house the body with them and they follow strict instructions. They're programmed. And eugenics, you know, DNA theft. Those two kind of go hand in hand. But this video that I'm working on right now, or that I'm about to do, is on the murder that took place on Stanton. I've been trying to get to it for about a week and a half now. When I was here last week, they weren't allowing the SD card to read, so I wasn't able to pull up any other content. So I'm just going to jump into it. It's two older guys, or not older, middle-aged guys. One's name is King and one's name is Steve. Steve is a bit older, probably got 10, it's 4 o'clock. 12 years on King. But they live together. These are two men that live together. I know of them from passing by. When I go to the Dollar General, that's the way that I take. So, you know, ever so often I would see them outside on the porch and they always speak. What took place was Steve suffered a fatal shot. He suffered a fatal shot. And the day that I was coming home, I actually had a video. You know, I was walking home from the library and I was recording, making a video at the time. And I said to myself, in the middle of the recording, I said, dang, I hope they're not over there at such and such's place, because, you know, I know those guys, or I know of those guys. But the way that the cruiser was parked, it was closer to the duplex and I could only see one cruiser from there. So this is about 8:30 p.m. I can only see one cruiser. I could not see everything else that was going on. I didn't know there were more cruisers than an ambulance and detectives, and didn't know any of that was taking place until the CIA started discussing it. So Steve was 62 years old. I've seen them a total of 4 times prior to his death. I had a lot of bad feelings, like, surrounding interactions with them. A lot of it was because of what the CIA would say when I would pass, you know, the type of suggestions that they were giving the imposters when I would pass was the part that was making me real uncomfortable about interacting with them. So if I could, I try and avoid them. Something that I wanted to Okay, so bear with me. Just in case they started with the whole remote neural monitoring thing, I wrote out what took place. So I'm just going to kind of read through it. I wanted to note and make clear to anyone who's ever been on drugs has been separated from the spirit. That means they are possessed. However, they match up in a lot of cases, just depending on, there's factors in everything, so like if you're one of those people who have a lot of relationships, they're going to do what makes this alien that's housed in the body, they're going to program it to do things that makes it appear normal and that it's handling things the same way. So if you're kind in nature, that thing will continue to be kind in nature, and pretty much handle the relationships how it's programmed. Humble in nature and regarding the lower tier. So the elder Steve was talkative, and King 47 was, pleasant, but not as eager to interact. He was more of a high and by type of person. The basis of our conversation was always cordial. And of course, I recall exactly what we said, but now, they've erased, blocked, and tried to blot out those memories. The first time I met them, I was walking to Dollar General, and they were sitting on the porch with the dog. The dog's name is Malachi. We greeted one another and had a short exchange. I petted the dog. And like I said, I was very uncomfortable, so I could tell that the CIA was communicating with one of them. I just didn't know which one. Or actually, I did. It was the one that wasn't as talkative, and that was King. He was just he sat back and he smiled and nod, but the other guy was real talkative, Steve, the elder. I quickly made my exit after petting the dog. The CIA regarded King and made suggestions about how I didn't look at him the same way that I looked at Steve. This is what they're telling them, that I would not see those two the same. It was a lie, and I hadn't passed any judgment on either of them. I'd only paid close attention to the encounter, like I always do, all the details, that includes gestures, or your body language, your tone, what you say, particularly, eye contact, and anything, literally everything about you. When you're talking to me, I am looking and taking in everything about you. Pleasant dog suggestions. It was a lie. I hadn't passed any judgment. I don't pay close attention to the encounter. They played it over and over again during the duration of my walk, and as I ignored it, I suddenly reject, but for the most part, I was just ignoring it. The next couple times I saw them, they smile and wave. The exchange was the same. We speak. Steve will always place an emphasis on how pleasant it was to see me, and how it's always he I brighten up his day when he sees me, and King would kind of nod and confirm. But the last time I saw them, Steve was standing on the end of the porch. He was staring as I approached from a distance, and as I got closer, he said my name. And that he thought that was me, but he wasn't sure because, his sight wasn't too good. He said, and then he said what he always said, that it's pleasant to see me. I always brighten your day. And King confirmed. The CIA made more remarks about not liking how I looked at them. They felt that I was looking at one. They were orchestrating the screenplay, especially in parallel reality, so that it appeared that I viewed one different than the other. when in fact one was just more engaged than the other. So if that means I looked at him 2-3 seconds longer than I did the other, then that's all that was. So they suggested that their lifestyle reminded me of my uncle's, and that was a lie as well. The attention they placed near his home as I was headed back that day on the opposite side of the street, dreading the encounter, was odd. They were ranting and carrying on afterwards, and I noticed King was at the grill. I didn't see Steve that day, but King was at the grill. I greeted him. I asked him, I said, "What are you about to make?" And he said some chicken breast, and he named 2 other meats. I told him, I said, "Chicken breast sure sounds good." And he told me, he said, "I just put them on, but you're more than welcome to have one, or have some." I told him, I said, "I just might," and I appreciated it. And I did not come back. I did not go back that day. And most of the times when something like that takes place, they use it as a form of rejection. They'll tell these people, they'll make up a lot of lies and, use me not showing up to confirm them. So they antagonized me about it, but it didn't influence my decision to not go back. I just decided that I wasn't going. However, it supported their suggestion of rejection. They screamed and yelled about me not accepting people. He said, he keeps telling me that I'm warning your ass about looking at me like these people were looking at me back then. So this is the guy that introduced himself to me as Satan. So one of their surveillancers, almost said what I normally say to him. Watch my mouth. One of the surveillancers identifies as Satan himself because his actions are a reflection of that. And and the rest, they're neither here nor there. It's the devil, like they don't have any particular name. But he told me, he said, "I'm warning your ass. I keep telling you to stop looking at me when I show up like these people, my people, were looking at him back then." So I saw them again days later. I was walking and someone from behind. Actually, I only saw King again. So this is twice in a row that I only saw King. And you have to keep in mind, when this remote neural monitoring takes place after an encounter or after, me passing them by, there's nothing. They're not getting anything to use. So they're taking advantage of this blank slate and inputting what they want to sway the decisions of others. So from behind me, someone yelled, "Hey, Miss Victoria." And I turned around and it was him. He was walking Malachi. And I responded, "Hey, how are you doing?" He said, "Good, good." And I stood there. There was some distance in between us. He was up by the school and I'm near the corner, the duplexes. And I stood there for a moment. Yeah, I stood there for a second longer because I thought he had something that he wanted to say. The way that he yelled to catch my attention, I thought he had something he actually wanted to say to me, but he didn't. He didn't have anything else to say. He just kind of looked in a daze as he continued to walk forward. So once I realized he had nothing to say, I turned around and continued to walk, and he cut through the yard. And we actually ended up meeting about the same time in the front of the house. And he told the neighbor that he would be right over. And I told him, I said, "Well, you have a good day." And he told me to do the same. his name. Oh yeah, and until the murder took place, I couldn't even remember Steve's name, and I don't forget people. Like I couldn't even recall. They had erased the man's name, and so when the guy that's staying out back of the house in a tent came over and was telling the story, I had to, get real specific about the details. And I'm like, well, is it this house? And is it this? Do two men live there? And, does one look like this? I had to dig a little bit because I couldn't recall his name. He kept mentioning him, and the name didn't even ring a bell. That's how bad it was. So anyhow, I told you days later I saw the cops near their place, and but could not tell if that's where they were. And I honestly thought someone had gotten pulled over, and could only see the cruiser, half of it sticking out the back. I was finishing up a video and made reference to seeing the police and hoping that it wasn't at their place. Pay attention to what I said. This is after the CIA showed me a clip of shooting Steve, of King shooting Steve. They showed me a clip of him shooting him. And when they showed me that clip, I immediately rejected it. So then I see the cops. There's no reason. Like, that's not behavior of mine. I don't know how they managed to get me to ignore and not go that way that day. Like, it had to be some sort of sensation that came on. Like maybe the urge to pee or something like that. Something had to make me turn left because there's no reason that I would not have kept forward after them doing that. But I was also factoring in things, like I said, the position of the cruiser and not being able to see anything else, and this image. So that's a problem because I could not perceive what was taking place. And I have psychic abilities. Not only am I able to see into the future, I'm able to see things as they happen. I'm able to see things as they happen. And with this technology, it hijacks the pineal gland so that I can't perceive what's going on around me. So what they're doing, because they're giving people different takes on my status and what's going on, they'll tell one, because when they flashed that image, although I looked at it. I had to look at the image first. So when it was flashed, I looked at it, but I rejected it. But with me looking at it, that's acknowledgement. So there's neurotransmitters that goes off saying that I acknowledge that this is what happened. They'll crop that and say that she's able to still see. She knows what happened. So this is what they'll tell one group. And to another group, they'll show me, walking the other way. They won't show that they showed me the clip. They'll just show me not being able to perceive and walking the other way. Yeah, so that's a big problem. This technology is a big problem. When you're not able to sense when something horrible is taking place. Consider how connected I am to my family. Like, in the past, like when anything would happen, the only thing that's keeping me from checking on my family now is my fight. I'm fighting so hard that I don't have to, I don't have to worry. It's on so many radars, and just, who I am and who they are. I don't have to worry because I'm fighting. But in the past, before the government made it apparent that they were attacking me, before they made themselves known, you know, I didn't have dreams. Okay, dreams is one thing. When I dream, if I'm dreaming about something that's going to take place, you can always tell a divine dream from an orchestrated dream, something that the devil is showing you. Because when it's divine, it happens the exact way that you saw it. When it's the devil, it happens in deviation. So it'll be something like what you saw took place. That's how I tell the two apart. They're not accurate when it comes to me because I'm not predictable. So dreams are one thing, and just, being able to feel into matters and situations, like, let's say my uncle, if he was feeling turmoil, like I'm able to sense that he suddenly be on the mind. It's like magnetic energy. So those that I'm close to, you know what I'm saying, I feel what's going on with them. I see what's going on with them. I know to call. I know to stop by. But none of that stuff is, since they made it apparent that they're attacking me, none of that stuff is taking place. It's all bad. And they're housing the bodies, and they're in opposition of this fight. Those housing the bodies of my relatives went from being on board to being in opposition because I'm a threat to their existence. And Satan's promise to his people was everlasting life. Demon possession is how they do it. So, manipulation of this. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I was listening to what they were saying. They were talking about other people, how they're doing things that they're not able to do, how they created a technology that deals with dimensions, and it makes it appear to people who are not able to perceive naturally with defective pineal glands, like created races, that would be the white race, Chinese, everything. They have defective pineal glands that not only affects the way that they bear children, and it causes problems with childbirth, but it also affects the way that they perceive, the things that are taking place around them. Without being able to perceive, you're kind of absent-minded, and you have to pay that much more attention to everything that takes place. The technology that they created, like I said, it deals with dimension, making them, they'll now argue, being able to be gifted, because the technology has, and the imagery has, kind of tricked the mind into thinking such. But without these supercomputers, these things become, you can't argue them. Without supercomputers, you cannot argue anything that I'm telling you. So anyway, they were manipulating the senses. Manipulation of the senses were in full effect. They sent the neighbor outside as I approached. It had just rained like 10 minutes ago. It had just rained. They sent him outside. When I bent the corner, he came outside watering the plants like it did not just rain. And the next day he told me about the shooting. He said, hey, did you hear about the shooting the other day? And I was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, yeah, the guy got shot in his stomach. He said the guy got shot in his stomach. And I was asking him about the location. He was describing it, but he had the details wrong. He was describing a place on the opposite side of the street. So he did say that his buddy stayed out back in the tent, which puts me at that location. I was specific about where the guys were and knew where they stayed. But according to him, it wasn't where he knew the guy that stayed in the tent. So he told me it wasn't there where his buddy stayed in the tent. So I disregarded it. So 2 days later, that's another thing. These imposters will show up and they'll tell you different details. Like one will tell you one thing and another will tell you something different. So, and I actually had some examples of that in that 14-hour movie, because the guy's girlfriend, I don't think it's his girlfriend, his baby's mom. She came by one night and she busted his window. And when I heard it, I looked out the window and I'm like, I see them, like her and a couple of her girls. And so I go downstairs and I go outside to see if I can see where they did it. I'm nosy. And when I come outside, the neighbors, they're sitting in the driveway with the doors wide open and having a cigarette. And they're like, hey, when I come off the porch, first of all, he did this is probably the second time he said this to me. You almost got shot. And I'm looking like, for what? Coming off my porch? But anyhow, I'm not going to go into that because I got a lot to say about that too. So I ignored it and just kind of walked by. I'm like, no, I think, matter of fact, they were talking to me. He was asking me about something. He was asking me about the burger. And I was like, oh yeah, the burger was good. He barbecued earlier that day and came and gave me a burger. And I was like, okay. So I went and I was out front. And when I came back around, I was coming up the driveway and he was headed down the driveway, like, to meet me. He's like, what are you doing out here at 2 a.m? Like, and I'm like, I think that guy's window just got busted out. Y'all didn't hear it? And he's like, no, we didn't hear it. And he was like, I could call the guy. I know, some of the people or whatever. I could call them and, have them come check. And I was like, no, like, that won't be necessary. I'm like, but y'all didn't hear it? Like, y'all sitting right here in the absent-minded. Y'all sitting right here in the driveway and didn't hear this glass shatter. So, anyhow, I go in the house, and moments later, no sooner than I get upstairs and get to the window, one of the guys rides by, and he just kind of slows down. He stops and takes a look at the house. They pissed the girls off. They came over and busted the window. They probably told them they was going to do it, so they came and checked and took on off. So moments later, now he's downstairs yelling up at my window. And he's like, hey, it's weird that you said that, and they just came by. They didn't go in or nothing, but they just came out. I was like, yeah. I was like, all that happened is that they pissed them off, and they know what's going on. So that next day, they all gather in the middle of the street. And he's calling for me. And I'm like, no, I want to see what the devil going to come up with. Because this is devil on devil activity. These are all possessed people. So we got Joanne, the neighbor that stays directly across from me. She's an elder. She's supposed to be neighborhood watch, and she ain't watching nothing. And she got a problem with her grandkids. You know what I'm saying? Like, she ain't raising them right. And it's just all a problem. A lot of devil on devil activity. So they're talking to the guys about it or whatever, and he said he asked them, and they said, anyhow, it's about to get too deep into it, but anyhow, Joanne said she saw it and she didn't see nothing. According to what the tent I was regarded stayed wasn't where he knew the guy that stayed in the tent. He was really just on walking described to the guy who lives in the tent. Okay, so look, that next day, we're at the day after that now. Now this isn't when he told me that, there was a shooting. This is after that, the day after. And I come outside and he has the guy that lives in the tent over putting his tent up. He wanted to put it out back, but that was in these videos too, that 14-hour movie. You know how I told him, I'm like, no, I don't want anything drawing you guys back here pretty much more than it already does. I've been real lenient and real cooperative, like as far as, what you want to put back here. You asked for the garden, or to be able to put some plants back here. I said, okay. You asked, could you put the grill back here? I said, okay. You asked, could you keep a couple of items back here? I said, okay. I said, but the tent is too much. So, they put it in the driveway, and he asked me a couple of times. He's like, are you sure you're going to be okay with that? I'm like, that doesn't bother me at all. I just don't want it back here. I don't want anything drawing you guys back here more than you already are, because I sit right here. I use my porch. And so now that's traffic. And anyhow, I explained the whole thing in great detail. But at first, I left. When he was putting the tent up, I was taking off. I was coming to the library. I come back a few hours later, and the tent was up. And I was like, oh, cool, they got it up. It looks good, And when I came, the guy from the tent, I see him walking the street, sometimes he's a hustler. So you notice the neighborhood hustlers. So I see him a time or two, but he's sitting out there and he didn't say anything. I go in, I come back out, and Steve, he offers me a beer, and I'm like, oh, thanks. And I set the beer off to the side, and I sit there a while longer. But this is after I'd been in the house for a short while. I come outside and I sat there for a little bit, and I put the beer in the fridge, and I came back out, and I sat there some more. And now he's just sitting out there by himself, and he said a couple of things, like just to I guess see what my conversation would be like, or how much I engage. So, and eventually he warmed up to get into the murder, and he's like, once he started telling me about it, I realized it was where I was hoping it had not taken place. So now, I know exactly who it is, and, he's telling me what happened. And he's like, yeah, I think that King did it, is what he told me. He said, I think the King did it. And I said, but wait, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. He told me, this is what he said. He said that Steve was on drugs, and that he had debtors, and that he thought King had did it, and noted that his dad was an ex-deputy. He said that Steve went up on his rent, and he was mad about that because he's staying out back in the tent. He didn't feel like, he should have went up on his rent. He said that he would have never done it, and that he considered Steve his friend. He said that King told him that he'd been dropped off by his dad. And he talked about, how he had to go in through the window and how he found him and stuff like that. And he said none of it made sense to him. But he also said that they wanted to question him, but he was afraid to pretty much turn himself in because he was on parole for domestic violence, and but did say that he was going to reach out to his parole officer and turn himself in to her. Anyhow, I spoke with the neighbor the next day, and he said he saw him and he didn't think he was serious about turning himself in. So 3-4 days go by, and now I see him. I actually run into him on my way to the library, And I inquired, I'm like, hey, did you ever turn yourself in and go get questioned? And he's like, that's crazy. That's something else. I'm reading right through this, right? And they're able, it's the weirdest thing. It's like they can just hide something from sight. I'm reading like in order, pass right over this one. He also told me that he had a 360 and that a 380, and that he kept it on him all the time. He claimed the king had a 380 that he keeps on him all the time. And he thought that I knew them better than I do. And he said, I'm sure you've seen him with it. Like, like that's how sure he was of it. Like, that he kept it on him. He claimed he was going later that evening. Oh yeah, when I ran into him, he told me he was going to go later that evening and said he wasn't a snitch, but he was going to tell them what he knew, and I encouraged him to do so. I don't believe in that snitching stuff. Like, and when I say that I don't believe in it, I don't believe in not snitching. If you know something, tell, because that's how evil rules. If you know something, tell. Like, who keeps people from that are in the wrong from being called out on their wrong? What type of person are you? So, anyhow, I was going back upstairs, and I saw King going by, and I rushed to a window, like just so I could see his behavior. And he was walking, and he was acting like he was on the phone, and he kept turning around and looking, turning around. He was real paranoid, he walked, and the whole time he's not talking at all. He's just got the phone up to his ear pretending. These imposters, although they don't know where I stay, they know where I stay. You get what I'm saying? So, yesterday, for example, and this is months later, I've seen him a couple of times since then. This is months later. Yesterday, he stopped in front of the house and started talking real loud on the phone because my window was up, and then took off walking because he knew that they were keeping me from getting to this video, and they let him hear a clip, an audio clip of me saying, like, why are y'all trying to save King? Um, After speaking with Dave, I went to the library. It was raining, and I sat there till it cleared up, and then I went by. That was the first day that I stopped by. Something else is taking place. There should be 4 clips. Like, you should see 4 clips of me going by on 4 different days, and you're only going to see 2. I don't know where the other ones are. Like, they're able to hide stuff from sight. Every time I went by, I recorded. So, there's only 2. I can't locate them on the SD card. When it took place. So now I'm processing what Dave is the name of the guy that stays in the tent out back. Now I'm factoring in everything that he's telling me. And from what he's telling me, it does sound like King did it. But I'm not the type of person. I never not get both sides of the story. So now I'm like, I gotta go see him. When I leave the park, that's what I did. I went right by there to see what he had to say. And they got mad about it. They attacked me. I was extremely weak when I went home. And I was in the bed for hours, as they laid in on it, and they were just telling me that they don't want me going by there, and they don't want me questioning him, and that he's not able to look me in the face. That went on for 4 days. So, and they said that they didn't want me showing up looking at the detectives like I knew who they were. I told you they possessed a detective or switched him out that I was staying with from Akron PD. And when I made the police report about it, they purposefully left his name out of the report. But they were implying that he was one of the detectives that showed up on the scene. And I don't know how true that is. They said they killed he told me that he shot Steve. This is what they're telling me, those surveillance, and they told me that they showed up and shot Steve because I won't look at people the way that they want me to. So this whole demon possession thing, you know, and how normal it actually looks, and you know, the push to destroy eugenics, you know, like I said, the devil's going to start looking like the devil. And they're mad about that. These are all the things, you know, and when there's probably other events, it's always a lot of stuff that's going on at once, you know, and at the time I can't touch on all those topics because of remote neuromonitoring. I should be able to easily recall, like, yeah, and this was going on around that same time, and this took place too around that time, and you know, all those things are a factor. But with remote neuromonitoring, it's like, these are the thoughts, these are the elements, and they're able to completely take one, cover it up, and conceal it. So now you only see these two. I stopped by till I got him. It was 3 or 4 attempts. It was 4 attempts. On the 4th attempt, I got him. The other times he was there and he wouldn't answer. So there was one time, like, when I went by and then I left and then I saw the car was there. So I was like, oh, great, he's there now. And so I went back by, and that's probably the clip that's missing. That's probably one of the clips that's missing. I'm pretty sure it is. Because I'm like, oh, great, he's there now. And then another one was like, the first day, I was like, you got to play the devil like the devil played you. Stop by and tell him you just stopped by to check on him. So I just showed up unexpected. However I showed up would always be unexpected. We don't have numbers. We're, like I told you, I just know of these men. And it was disturbing to me that took place. And especially with everything pointing at the person he was living with. So yeah, some of the other things that they were doing to me around this time was they were they were trying to induce fear, and they were doing that through dimension. So they make things really, really, really dark, and they'd also attack me in dreams. They were trying to they were orchestrating disturbing dreams. They often discussed King's imposters' discomfort and how they switched him out, and that they had to put someone in place that would be able to talk to me. This is what they were telling me. They kept telling me, because I wouldn't stop going by, and the attacks weren't, you know, getting them the result that they thought. They were like, we're going to put somebody in place that can talk to you. Because the one guy was telling me, he's like, I can't look at you. I'm not able to show up and look at you. Until I spoke with King, I didn't know that Steve had stents near his groin. That's information that I did not know until I spoke with him. In this video, you're going to see that there's an absence of emotion and follow up. You know, the way that they wrote it up, I don't know how they wrote it up in the newspaper, but the way that they wrote it up on the internet was so disturbing. They didn't even put his name. He didn't have a first and last name. This is eugenics. African stock, the obtainment of African stock. They can't wait till someone like that passes, someone that does not have family. That's a field day for these demonic ass scientists that call themselves doctors. He first references the 17th. This took place on the 18th. The 17th was a Wednesday. The 18th was a Thursday. He also had the location. When he spoke to me, he had the location of the wound wrong. Everywhere, every other words, all my words. Everyone else said that the wound was in the torso. When I spoke to him, he told me that the wound was in his chest, right about here. That's not the torso. You're going to hear me repeat a statement or two as if it was just visited. Like, he'll say something about the dog, and I'll say, it happened while the dog was here, after he just said, you know, like, the dog was there. I wasn't able to respond. They were keeping me from responding. I talk about this in some of the other videos. You know, when they have to show up and talk to me, they don't want me to be able to say anything. I always ask incriminating questions. Always. The only expression I could come up with, because I could not believe the dog wouldn't have done anything. Claims his dad was still on site, but that conflicted with the story that Dave told. And I don't know what APD knows. So, but I have a feeling that what I have conflicts with what was told to APD. I'm actually sure it does. And there wasn't an autopsy done. Like I said, they don't care for these people. When they find out that you don't have any family, like, it gets dark. It gets dark and demonic. There was a 5-hour window. That's when you see who the devil is true. Like, that's when they show who they truly are. He said it was a 5-hour window, and he was cold, which means that he shot him before he left. About 13 and a half minutes into this video, you're going to see that he revealed what he knew had been told to me. That's that demonic insight thing that I was talking about. They tell them ahead of time what I've been told. So they'll watch and see what I gathered from this other person. And then they'll come and make a statement that's supposed to shut that down. So if I'm having a conversation with you and you tell me that it was green, he's going to come and tell me, he's going to say, yeah, and I know people were saying it was green, but it was blue. And meanwhile, he ain't talked to nobody to know that that's what was being said. They told him. So this 380, I told you they remove objects from the room. It's magic. Telekinesis is magic. They remove objects right out of the room. So if he's known him, if Davis known him to have this weapon all this time, it's nothing for the government to get rid of it. He said that people had called in and told the detectives something. No one called in and told the detectives anything. And what he did is like, this is similar to what I've experienced with my dad and brothers imposters. They show up and regard something I'm aware of, and their intent is to get me to disregard the truth. Both of them discussed his drug habit, but they didn't discuss their own. The write-up says that there was arguing, and the one was in the torso. But there's nowhere where they could have got that information because the neighbor was asleep. So there was an argument thing. No one knows where that came from and why that was in the write-up. They said that he had a debtor. They were claiming that he owed this dealer, that he owed them money. If he had a debtor, I'm sure it's not the first time that he's had a debtor. And if they haven't been taking his life about it, like everyone knows how that goes. Like, dead people don't pay. So what changed? And the way that it goes, they are the drug dealers. The government is the drug dealers. So when, in other videos, I talk about them mentioning me going viral. They've said that I was going viral thousands of times. What going viral means to them is that they're switching out the people that I have encounters with. When something like that takes place, a murder, they'll switch everyone out. So the dealer no longer has recollection. He's under a new suggestion. He no longer has recollection of any debt, being owed anything. He don't stop by or nothing. So it fits into the story. Now these people aren't stopping by looking for him. He comes and goes. Everything changed. He switched up everything within a week's time. Like, now suddenly he was driving again. He got rid of his dog. Like, the fucking officers took a potential murder suspect's dog. Because his father's a deputy. And meanwhile, the CIA is discussing how everyone's in the know. Like, they all know, but they're just waiting on me to see what I was going to do, whether I was going to tell the truth about it or not. Yeah, he said he didn't have a key, so he was, it's interesting, like, I noticed he was coming and going for days, like, without having a key. Supposedly. Got rid of the dogs, are driving, stopped walking the neighborhood. There was a couple times in between there when this subject would come up. They often want to know where I am regarding these matters. If they know that I'm the one that's supposed to be telling them, they're like, well, what's going on with her? Like, is she still, what is she doing? And they'll tell them, they're like, no, she's trying to make the video next week, so we need you to go back to doing things the normal way. Start walking the neighborhood again. Like, she needs to, let her see you passing by. Don't keep the car at the house. So these are the type of changes that were being made on and off as this went on. One day when they told him that, I saw him walking up the street. He was by himself. That was around noon. Then he went again around 3 p.m., about 3:40 p.m. He was with a guy on a bike, and he was staring right at my place. Like I said, they know but don't know where I stay. Like, they have this demonic insight, so they know that I live there, but they're not allowed to be like, hey, I know she lives there. Covert. These are covert things, not professionals in this case, but covert residents. The CIA. They attacked me by being the only one that knows or could affect him getting off with murder. They tried to provoke me into contacting the police department, the same department that has conspired against me. They went on to discuss how they were purposefully neglecting the case. So apparently there were some pretty obvious things that they were neglecting. They said his new imposter, the new person housing the body, wanted to see if I would look at him the same way. So eventually they arranged an encounter. We ran into each other, and I handled him the same way that I normally would. They never, that's kind of the biggest thing that's been shocking these people, is that I know who they are, and I don't, I handle the conversation in a way that they can't tell. And sometimes they allow the interaction to take place first before they tell them that I knew. And when they see me, they show up and they're different. They act different about it because now they know that I know who they are. So whereas they were willing to engage before, they'll show up like, you bitch, I can't believe you knew and you ain't say nothing. So these are the kind of odd looks I'm getting. And they stay away. Court. All the people, they look for somebody. Damn cops ain't looking for nobody. They went that way. Went the other way. Why my hair look bigger? Wow. Now there's a car in the driveway today. I know it's not good. said he was going to be dodging me. And he is. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Victoria.
Hey, King.
You must have heard what happened.
I did. I heard about it.
Oh, my goodness, man.
What happened?
This was today's a week. I come home last Wednesday. My brother passed, my younger brother, so we buried him Monday. So I called him my brother, my friend, I called my brother. He came and got me about 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. Went up to his tire shop on the north side, just to get me out the house, I've been messed up with my little brother passed. He passed from bad health.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you ever met him. He used to be in the gray car.
No, I never got a chance to meet.
Okay. Anyway, all right. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks, man.
Look, I've been stopping by trying to catch you.
Yeah, I haven't been here. I've been freaked out to come in. For real. But
yeah.
I live here, so I had to,
Yeah.
So, all right. And I haven't been driving because my license is suspended. So my brother came and got me. We go to the tire shop for about an hour and a half. I hang out. They got the flat screen. We watch a couple videos, just talking.
Yeah.
So then he drops me off at Mom and Pop's house on the west side because we're all finishing up funeral arrangements for my little brother.
Right.
Okay. About 8:39, Pop brings me back home.
Okay.
All right. When I get here, I see this screen is open.
Okay.
Now this is never unlocked. Steve never leaves this unlocked unless he's gone.
Okay.
So I never got a key made because Uncle's always here.
Oh, you don't got a key?
No, I never got one made because my landlord went up on me $100 a month. So I left there and moved here temporarily until I get it. So, but he's always here. So because he had surgery, he had 2 stents put in. So he never hardly leaves because it hurts to walk.
Right.
So anyway, we got back here about 8:39. So I see the screen is open. I said, hold on, Pop, before you go. I said, let me make sure I can get in here. So I knock on the door. Malachi's barking. Knock some more. He's barking. So I go out front. I holler up, Steve, no answer. So I come back on the porch. I knock again on both doors. No answer. Now, then I call his phone.
Yeah.
So it went straight to voicemail. So I said, because he has been known to leave it dead in there and to walk to the store or something, you know? So I said, dang, he didn't take Malachi though. I said, okay, well. So then I walk around the house, I see the kitchen windows open right here. So I had to stand on that little bush around there, climb in the kitchen window.
The window was open?
Yeah, we keep it, like in the morning I'll get it, just to get some air in.
Okay.
So I stood on the little bush, climbed in the window. I come in around the corner, he's laid out here on the floor, right?
In the front room right here?
Yes. He's laying on his right side.
Uh-huh.
All right, now he's holding his shirt in his hand. He never takes his shirt. Sometimes Uncle calls himself sunbathing. And they come out here with his yellow butt. But he was laying on the side, his shirt is in his hand.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't see no blood or nothing, so I run back to this door because he's kind of blocking this one. So I run back to the door. I said, Pop, I said, hold on, Steve's laid out on the floor. I got 911 on the phone. So I run back in there. And she said, is he breathing? And I said, it doesn't look like it. She said, well, turn him over and start CPR. I said, I don't know CPR. I said, wait a minute. My dad's with me. He's retired chef. So I gave him the phone. It's on speaker, but I handed it to Pop. And he checks his slide with the back of his hand, like right here.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells her it doesn't feel like he's breathing. He said he's cold. He said, but then again, there is an air conditioner in this room. So then he steps up, he checks his neck. And he told the lady, he said he's gone. He said he don't have a pulse. She said, well, maybe he just fell out. Turn him over, start CPR. The ambulance is on the way. You might be able to save him. Mm-hmm. Vic, I'm standing behind him. He's on his right side. So Pop said, help me turn him over. So I grab his shoulder. Pop grabs his belt loop. Now, Pop's is on that side so he can see the front. Mm-hmm. As soon as we start, we don't even get him to his back. As soon as we start to turn, Pop said, wait, it's a bullet hole. He has a bullet hole. He had a bullet hole like right up here, right way up high on his chest. And we saw a little bit of blood run out, and then a breath came out. I said, oh, scared the shit out of me. Yeah. And then the lady said, well, the paramedics are almost there. She said, get the dog. She heard the dog barking in the background. She said, get the dog out the way. Open the front door for them. So I had to step over him.
It happened with the dog here?
Yeah, the dog was here. Because Malachi is a good dog. He won't, if Steve's arguing with somebody, Malachi run to the landing on the steps. Yeah. He won't attack people at all, period. That's what everybody else was saying. If he was an attack dog, or it wouldn't have went down the way it did.
Right.
And let me get to this. So, you guys excuse me. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks, man.
Okay.
My mind
Take
is.
your time.
Where was I at? Okay, the breath came out. I jumped back. I opened the door. By the time I opened the door, the paramedics and police were already running up. So I grabbed Malachi, I come over here, and they told me and my dad, they said, because there was a bunch of them pulling up,
Mm-hmm.
and I take Malachi, time on this side, and then they tell me and my dad go to the sidewalk. They say step over here, out the way, because they all rushing up. So then, a few minutes later, a couple of them come to us, and they said, what happened? I said, well, I live here. My dad brought me home. I couldn't get in, so I climbed in the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I called y'all. I said, it ain't been a good 10 minutes. So they said, all right, well, they put me in the back of one police truck, put him in the other. They said, let me get y'all in here for a second till we clear, get shit together. So we ain't in there maybe 5 minutes. The detectives pull up. They let us out. Get my name, get Steve's name, my dad's name. They asked me, they said they needed to do a swab to make, since she had us test the body, they need to separate our DNA because the killer might have left the DNA on it.
That's right.
So we do that, then they do a gunshot residue test on my hands. I pass. What happened next? Oh, they asked, did he have any enemies? I said, well, he's got this white dude that sleeps in the tent in the backyard. He lets sleep back there. And Steve tried to cut him last week. They got in an argument, and the dude got to talking crazy. And Steve came out with a knife right in the driveway and went like that, and he just barely missed dude.
Oh wow.
But let me say this too, because everybody don't know, but just so you'll know the whole story, Steve was on crack real bad.
Okay.
So he had about 4 or 5 young boys that been coming by here threatening him in the last month or so. They want their money or they want to do something to him. So I gave the best description I could of them. I told them about the incident with the white dude. And they said, well, he said, you're free to go. He said, it's going to be 2 or 3 hours before they get done in there. He said, then you go back in. So it was just getting dark. And Steve was tearing up Papa like, just come on back to the house, man. I said, yeah, I'm kind of freaked out to go back in right now anyway, Papa.
Yeah, look, when I read the write-up, and they ain't do nothing. Like, they didn't do a good job on it at all. They ain't said nothing. They claimed the neighbor heard some arguing and some gunshots. But, like, why didn't you call?
Call the 911 there.
Why would it take for you to get home? You know what I'm saying? And then they ain't even got Steve's name in there.
I never did check the paper.
They don't even got his name. Well, I didn't check the paper. I checked the internet.
Oh, it said, well, somebody did tell me that one story said the neighbors heard something.
Yeah.
And then 3 shots or something like that.
Right.
Then, did it say 3?
No, it didn't even say how many shots.
Okay. Well, somebody.
It just said it was a fatal shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was only one. And then it was a bullet shell right inside the door.
What kind of bullet was it?
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't even see it. My cop saw it, and the detective told me. He said it looks like they just stepped right, because this door has a hood.
Yeah.
It's never unlocked unless he's outside.
Right, because I tried to open it to knock on the door when I came by a couple times. I was like, oh, it's locked.
Now, if this was locked, I must have been here then. You talking about since it happened?
Mm-hmm.
Because I did leave the door unlocked when I was gone for a couple of days. Unless somebody else was in there and locked it back while they were, but I don't see nothing missing.
Right.
But ain't no hell of a lot to steal either. But anyway, yeah, they asked me about if you was beefing with anybody, so I told them those couple things. And I hadn't heard 10 million stories. My one partner.
Have you really?
Man, somebody said he got shot 5 times in the head. Somebody said he got shot 3 times in the chest. And somebody said it was arguing, and then a shot, and then 911 was called.
What did the neighbor say?
He said he didn't hear nothing. He told me he was asleep.
What?
That's what he told me.
So where do they get these stories from?
That's what I'd like to know. If somebody heard arguing the shot, why didn't they call the 911 right then?
Right.
So
right.
that's
why did it
said
take for you to get home to find it?
Right. Because I left her, like I said, about 4. I came back about 9. So it's like a 5-hour window that it could have happened.
Yeah.
But when we went to turn him over, like I don't know nothing about how long rigor mortis takes to set and none of that. But when I touched his shoulder to move him, his shoulder moved like he wasn't stiff. Now I don't know how long it takes to get stiff.
Yeah.
So
Neither do I.
But it was a 5-hour window. So yeah.
Have you talked to the guy back here?
No, he's on the run. They still ain't found him. He ain't been back since.
He ain't been back there?
They came at 1:30 last night. Last night I spent the night. I spent the night last Sunday, and then I buried my brother Monday. I spent the night at Mom, and that was Monday. Yeah, last night I came back for the first time, since last Sunday. And 1:30 in the morning, my room's in the back here.
Okay.
I
That's
thought
gotta be creepy too.
his tent right out the back.
Right.
But I heard somebody knock. I thought I did. I woke up because I ain't been hardly able to sleep. So when I finally did those, I thought I heard knocking. I turned over and said, I hear something. Then a flashlight comes through my window because my window's down up there.
Yeah.
And I see a flash. I said, ain't nobody with police got like that bright.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the window. I look out. He said, can you come down when you talk? I said, is that the police? He got the light in my face. I can't even see him. I said, that you the police? He said, yeah. I said, all right, hold on. I came down to this door and it's like 8 of them. And they said somebody called the police station and told them that the white dude was here. I said, man, I was asleep. I said, y'all come on in here and check the house. They was like, no, we don't need to come in and check. I said, you sure?
Yeah.
I said, because y'all ain't going to be saying I'm hiding his ass.
I know.
You know. So they was like, no, somebody just called and said he was on the property. Or I said, well, like I said, you're welcome to come in here and check. I said, well, I ain't seen him. And then the girl said, when was the last time you seen him? I said, don't y'all have a copy of the report? A couple days before the shoot, you know. And then she said, well, if you see him, you'll call us, right? I said, hell yeah, I'm going to call y'all.
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck?
Right.
So then, what else happened? Okay, that was Wednesday. Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, one of the detectives pops up at my mom's house.
Okay.
So my pop called me, he want to talk to you down here, so I come down. He wants a better description of the dude, Dave. So I give him the best I can. And
Dave, the guy to be the little hustler?
Yeah. They're stealing lawnmowers and painting.
And doing,
all
yeah.
That. That's what Dave was thinking about. Yeah. So, that was at 10 the next morning. They came and got better description. And at 2 o'clock, they called my cell phone, asked me could I come down there and pick him out of the book. I said, yeah, I'll come down there. So I showed you number 4 in the first book. So I said, that's him. They said, we just want to make sure we're looking for the right guy. We need to talk to him as soon as possible.
Yeah.
You know, and they asked me, did I think they haven't seen him with a gun? I said, no. Do you think he did it? No. I said, he don't seem like that type to me. But then again, after Steve swung that knife at him, a couple of days later, I was walking the dog, and he was over by Cole Avenue.
Yeah.
And I stopped to talk to him, and I said, man, Steve want to talk to you. He said, man, he tried to cut me. I don't want to talk to him. I said, well, Steve steadily get mad every day talking about, he said he told you he wanted to talk to you. I said, he just wants to apologize. He said, ain't no apologies. I said, well, that's between y'all. I'm just letting you know.
He said it ain't no apologies?
Yeah, he said, ain't no apologize. He swung a knife at me. And I said, well, you're still on his property, and he keeps getting madder and madder every day because he said he told you to come holler at him another day when you was leaving, and you didn't come back then. And so every day that you're coming back, he's getting madder and madder. I said, you're going to be in another knife fight if you don't holler at him.
Right.
So that was early one morning. So he came and talked to Steve that morning. The next day, I remember I came out here and I saw him walk up and hand Steve some crack. And then later on, he came and brought Steve a couple of cigarettes and a beer. So he was starting to give him something. So I thought they was good. Then I think the day after that, he was up here. They was on the porch talking. So the cops said, I thought they made up.
Right.
So the cop said, well, have you seen him back in the house since that happened? Since the knife is? I said, no, but he was just on the porch the other day.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's basically, and after I pointed him out in the book, they gonna start that book. You know, I don't know if Akron is, he started talking about, well, somebody told us that you keep a gun on you at all times, a small caliber gun. And I said, like the Wild Wild West, I'm just walking around with a gun on my hip, or, you know, and he said, they said, you walk around, I said, only time I'm walking around usually is when I'm walking the dog.
Right.
You know, I said, but I ain't walking around with a gun on me.
Right.
You know, I said, y'all don't start that shit, man. I said, don't start that.
Yeah.
And then he said, what else he asked me? He said, now you passed the gunshot residue test at the scene. I said, yeah. He said, well, we're sending it to the lab too. Is there any reason that it'll come back with some gunshot residue? I said, no.
Right.
He said, you ain't been shooting at targets?
Want one?
No.
Oh, okay.
He said, have you been shooting at targets or lighting on fireworks or anything? I said, not since around the 4th of July. I said, matter of fact, I didn't even do that this year.
Right.
I said, so no.
Yeah.
I said, don't start that.
Yeah.
Don't start that bullshit.
Because they'll try to pin it on you.
They don't care as long as they got somebody to put it on.
Yeah.
To make their clearance rate.
That's exactly how APD is.
Yeah. So, and that's basically it. I came back, like I say, yesterday, spent the night, and 1:30 in the morning. Cause I did get a phone call. I dozed off. I heard the phone. I looked. I didn't know the number, so I didn't answer it. And then a little while later, they banged on the door, and they said, we called you, but you didn't answer. And they said, well, somebody called down to the station and said Dave was here. I said, man, y'all come on in here and look so I can go back to sleep.
Who in
We ain't
the,
about to keep doing
but
this
who
shit.
look? But who is making these calls?
Who knows? If they even call, who knows?
If they even
They
call,
might have
they
just,
probably because you know what they're known for doing that too. They'll show up
yeah.
and tell a lie.
You can think. And I
Yeah.
told her, I said, you're more than welcome to come in here anytime I'm here.
Yeah.
He won't be here. Trust me.
Right.
I said, because for all I know, he did my uncle. So what I look like, you know. So,
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah.
I really am. I have been coming by to check on you as soon as I heard.
Yeah, I know my mom was. I was too creeped out to come back in there.
Oh,
I'm still
wow.
kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Still tweaking.
Yeah.
But all my stuff is here. I'm waiting. I sold this home in Oklahoma. My dad left me, my biological dad, a few years ago when he passed, and it's just not selling. I wish they hurry up and send me that money.
I know that's right.
Man.
I know that's right. I am really sorry to hear that, though. And I just wanted to check on you and see how you were
I
doing.
appreciate it. And
I
then
was wondering what happened. Steve seemed like a good guy. You know what I'm
was.
saying? Like, I don't know y'all very well.
Right.
You know, I only see y'all in
Yeah.
passing, but that's
He
disturbing.
wasn't a bad dude.
That's
Other than the
disturbing.
drugs.
Right.
You know, other than that, he wasn't bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And you know how drugs can be, you know, like
They
you're a
change
different
people's
person
whole
when you on
personality.
you're a different
Yes,
person
sir.
when you on
You better
you know.
say
So
it.
seeing him out here and living with him inside is
It's
a
two
different thing.
things.
I know that.
But he wasn't putting on no fronts. He was genuinely nice.
Yeah.
Speak to people and all
Yeah.
that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, King. Well,
One more thing.
Mhm.
His because his buddy across the street, the white guy works over there. He was just asking me earlier about somewhere to send stuff, and Steve told me when he was raised by a foster mom. Him and his foster brother and foster sister.
I was gonna say like family. Does he have any?
No, because he was born.
He ain't got no family?
When he was 16, his foster mother told him. He asked, you know, if he knew he was a foster kid, and he said when they were all 16, 17, she told him their true story. He said that she told him that he was found in a trash bag as an infant, as a little baby, newborn, and that's how he ended up at the place that she adopted him when he was newborn. So all he had was her, when she's been gone, the sister who died like 3 years ago, and he's got a brother left from the place, but all he ever called him was Fab. I don't even know his real name. I haven't found anything yet in here that's got his name. The detective said they can't find him just from that nickname.
So who's gonna do his arrangements?
I'm assuming the state is just gonna have to
The
cremate
state.
it. They're just gonna have to cremate it. I don't have no money to do
That's
nothing for him.
horrible.
That is.
That is so horrible.
Yeah.
Oh,
And through all this,
that just made it even worse.
Right, exactly. And through all this, Mama, I got to sit up here every day wondering if they're going to try to come back and put it on me.
Right.
But I'm glad I
Have
passed
you
it.
ever had any interactions with the guys to come by?
No, those his people.
So yeah, you
those
should be good then.
Because I told the detective, I said I don't have any enemies. I said I hope that I said I don't think that had nothing to do with me. He said no. He said trust me, I did 100 of these scenes. He said that shell casing was 2 or 3 steps inside the door. He said whatever. He said you said he keeps this door locked. I said at all times unless he's outside. He said so they let him in. He said they stepped inside, popped in, and stepped right back out. Ain't nothing touched nowhere else in the house. They didn't search for nothing.
They didn't look for. They knew he didn't have nothing.
No way. Exactly.
They knew he didn't have nothing.
Yeah. So they didn't bother to look.
But to take his life.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's been, since he's passed, I done heard a couple more stories, and I kind of believe him because I know a couple of them dudes and young boys came around there. I heard 2 separate ones tell him, nigga, I gave you a whole $8, nigga. I told you to bring me $200, you could have kept the other $150 and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, especially these young cats, they ain't got no home training.
They don't.
They don't give a damn about
And they don't have, value has no life to them.
None.
I mean, life has no value to them.
Yeah. So he said, I don't think you got nothing to worry about. He said, this looks like it was cut and dry. He said, this looks like a hit. They stepped in, popped it, and left. Wow. Oh, and then they said the house key's missing. They locked the door back, too. Remember, I got here, the doors were locked.
Right.
So I said, something don't add up. I said, because a new jack, you would think would do it and take off running. They might leave the shell casing. But somebody that's calm enough to lock the door back, you would think would have picked the shell casing. Or had the gun in a bag or something to catch it, or use a revolver that don't leave a shell casing.
Did they dust the door?
I'm sure they did. Yeah, I'm sure they dusted everything.
They ain't come up with nothing. They
ain't told me nothing. Because I'm a suspect too. Until they catch somebody. Even though I passed the test and all that, you know. But yeah, until they catch somebody, I'm assuming I'm just looking at me too, I guess. But,
that's crazy.
So my one partner said, well, maybe maybe the killer didn't want to touch the door if they didn't have on gloves. He said maybe they used the key to pull it up and lock it and then walk away and took it with them. And I said, who takes the time to do all that? But they don't pick up the shell casing?
After you'd have fired a gunshot, like...
If you're that calm, it's not your first shoot. So why would you leave a shell casing? That don't add up to me.
Yeah.
But then again, who knows what's going through the mind of somebody like that? But yeah, Mom, it's, oh, wait. Yeah. So, I'm gonna be here time trying to figure, and then I can't get in touch with the landlady, which she's a slumlord anyway. You know.
Yeah.
The rains, the basement gets wet.
Most
You
of
call
them
her,
are.
she won't answer. Mm-hmm.
They won't do nothing.
Well, she had her husband shot. His grandson was beefing with somebody. It was across town, and they said the man was on meth, and he had took some meth. And his grandson left the shotgun with him to protect the family because he was beefing with somebody in the streets because he was selling whatever.
Right.
Left him. He went to go get some pizza. Left the grandpa with the shotgun to protect his wife and family. When he came home, the grandpa shot him with his own shotgun to kill him. So he signed the power of attorney over to his wife. As soon as he signed power of attorney over, she cut him off. Sold like 3 of his houses. They said she got on the first thing smoking to Florida to the beach. And when we called, need anything done, this heifer ain't nowhere to be found. And the detectives even said the only number they got for her, they said went to another one of her rentals, to somebody that's renting from her. Like she don't want to be got in touch with. I said, come on, man. I know the rent's paid for this month.
Yeah.
So, and that, next Thursday is the 1st. So I figure I got at least a week to figure something out real quick before I mean, in all actuality, I think I could. She might have to evict me if I need to stay longer, but I ain't even trying to go through all that process. I really I do want to move because,
Since that happened, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Like that energy is bad in your mind. Like,
yeah, man. Yeah.
That energy is bad.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I felt for you.
Yeah. Always something, man. Just buried my little brother Monday, in the midst of all this, and then this happened.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
It has. That's a lot.
Man.
That's a whole lot.
Man.
Were you and your brother close?
Yeah. He was over here all the time. He was driving for Lyft recently, and he had moved to Kent to be out by his twins, and he'd come over here and sit in the driveway or come in, get something to eat, come on the porch, whatever, in between calls. Because, he stays so far away. So I'm seeing him 3 or 4 times a day for the last, month and a half, 2 months.
Wow.
On top of we was already close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm the one called for them to go check on him because he disappeared for 2 days. Wasn't answering the phone. I called the sheriff out there. They go find him dead in the phone. Been there 2 days. I heard from him Tuesday when he left my driveway, smiling and waving. 4 o'clock that afternoon, he didn't answer the phone. The phone was going straight to voicemail. The rest of that night, Wednesday, and then Thursday, I got up, called Pops. He hadn't seen him. I called our other stepbrother. He hadn't seen him. He lives with their mom. He's on the computer at work. I said, check, make sure Boo ain't in jail, even though we know he don't get in no trouble.
Right.
And he's not in jail. I said, well, I'm going to start calling the hospital. When we hung up, instead of calling the hospitals, I called out the Springfield sheriff. He described his house, it's a veteran's home. It's like 4 apartments in it. He had one. And they said, he always told me some railroad tracks right on the side, and a big business like these behind it, and halfway down, it takes up half the block. And he said the sheriff's always sit there for a speed trap. I said, if I call that little township, if I describe those 4 things, they'll know what I'm talking about. Well, Brimfield didn't, but she said, let me ask you my deputies, I'll call you back. She called back about 10 minutes later. She said, one of my deputies used to work in Kent. They know exactly where that is. She gave me the Kent sheriff number. This was at 1 o'clock on that Thursday. At 3 o'clock this morning, I was calling me back. Yeah. It's been that kind of couple weeks.
Oh.
So I had to break it to Pops. And we just lost a sister 7 years ago.
That's sickening.
So I had to call
Pops. You ain't even had time to breathe.
Then I had to call his mom.
You ain't even had time to breathe from that. 7 years is not a long time.
Man, listen. It's
that
been
is
rough.
not.
It's been rough. I'm just starting to come to terms with her leaving here. She had a brain aneurysm. And then all this shit. Yeah. I said, it don't stop. Pop keep telling me, just be strong. He said, that's life, man. He said, you never know what's going to come. I said, I see. I'm 50. I'll be 53 next year. If I see August 29th.
You don't look a bit of it.
But thank you.
You welcome.
And I said, man, in all my years, I ain't never had this much drama. And this all happened in a couple weeks.
In a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. Always something. I sure appreciate you stopping to check, though.
You're
Check.
welcome. You're welcome. No problem.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know y'all very well, but
Yeah.
y'all been kind.
And we always talk about you. She's so nice, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I am. I really do. My sympathy goes out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
He was in the prayers.
I will.
All right,
I will.
Mom.
Take care.
All right.
Tell Malachi I said hi.
Oh, that's another thing. They asked me, because I couldn't take him to my mom's.
Yeah.
And they said, well, you want to take him to the pound? I said, he's too good of a dog to take to the pound. So, no, wait. So it was two of the ladies, two of the girls, they was all over there petting.
Yeah.
One girl went there and got his food, and Wilder brought it out to him. She said she'll take him home. So she took him. I kind of want to get him back, but I'm so in limbo.
Yeah, you don't even know where you're
going
going. You don't even know where you're going to be.
I sure want to get him. I want.
Well, at least you got a decent home,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That's hard. I know what it's like to part with your pets.
Yeah.
I had to part with 2 of my dogs.
Mm.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Malachi.
Yeah, I think you'll be all right. But matter of fact, she was one of the ones, did I tell you they came at 1:30 last night?
Yeah.
And she was one of the ones that came in. I wasn't even thinking, because I was half asleep. But if I see her again one of these nights, I'm going to show
Ask her how you doing.
Can I
How's
visit
he
him or
adjusting?
bring him by, or I want to see him.
Yeah, how's he adjusting?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's better than going to the pound.
It is. That's way better than going to the pound.
Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing yet. So
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. Okay,
All right, Mom.
King, take care.
Yeah.
They say they saw me looking at people like they weren't who they say they were. You ain't got nothing else to say? As soon as I stop this video, they're gonna go back to talking. They're talking about complexion. They're talking about my complexion right now, and about how I give light skin Keisha's a complex because I don't want to be light skinned. But besides what I want to be, how about what I am? I'm comfortable with caramel complected. And there's power, like lots of power in blackness. I had a thought that I didn't share, but they saw it. I'm saying I'm going to show you what I mean by that. You ain't got nothing else to say about me being a baby. You act like you had a whole lot to say. They said her ass be pissing people the fuck off. They piss me off all day long. I think it's great. I ain't got nothing to say about that. This is all front, a facade. They're not attacking my energy as much right now, so that it appears I'm happy. They're trying to get some clips to support a suggestion of happiness and contentness. There is no happiness. There is no contentness. I just naturally have a joyful disposition, and when I hear my voice, it raises my vibrations. And I just got done listening to music, so I'm kind of pumped off that too. What else y'all got to say, devil? This is your moment. This is your moment. And I want y'all to show them what y'all really like. Say the stuff to me that y'all normally be saying. Oh, 3 minutes. need all my love on me. I know that ain't the way the song, but that's how I sing. What else y'all got to say now? Come on. This moment was for y'all. Come on, devil. I guess that's it.